All right, everyone, get ready because today we're diving into some seriously interesting stuff. We're talking about love and value, especially for men in the world today.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah, we're really going to get into it. And the idea we're exploring today is that love, well, maybe it isn't as unconditional as we've always thought.
Right. Like that whole unconditional love thing, maybe it's not the whole picture.
Exactly. And, that's what makes this so fascinating, this idea that maybe there's more to it. Maybe it's not just about finding the perfect person and then boom, happily ever after.
It definitely makes you think. I mean, if love was truly unconditional, wouldn't things look a lot different, especially for guys out there?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
If it was all about personality, wouldn't everyone be happily coupled up?
Right. You'd think so.
So the source material we're diving into today uses this interesting analogy. It talks about love being like a never-ending subconscious negotiation.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It makes you think. What do you think they're getting at with that?
Well, it kind of challenges that whole romantic fairy tale thing, doesn't it? Like maybe it's not all hearts and flowers.
Yeah, like maybe there's a more practical side to it.
Exactly. It's like this ongoing process of, well, meeting each other's needs.
So not just emotional needs.
Right. Not just that. I mean, practical needs too. Think about it. Way back in the day, women needed a partner who could, provide.
Like bring home the bacon.
Exactly. It was about survival.
Interesting. So you're saying those instincts are still kind of there?
Yeah, maybe not in the same way. I mean, women aren't looking for a guy to slay a mammoth anymore, but those deep down desires for security, for stability, those are still there.
So even today, women are looking for partners who can bring something valuable to the table.
Right, who can contribute in a meaningful way. And that brings us to one of the most interesting points from our source. This idea that a woman's love for a man's personality often comes after she respects him.
After she admires what he can do in the world,
Yeah.
right? Like his competence.
Exactly. It's almost like that respect, that admiration, it comes first. And then the love follows.
Wow, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, the source really emphasizes that. They argue that men who demonstrate value, like through their careers or ambitions, they're the ones who really spark that initial attraction.
I see. So it's less about being a smooth talker and more about actually achieving something in the world.
Yeah, exactly. It's like saying, hey, I can handle things. I can build a good life. And that's attractive.
So maybe those grand romantic gestures, they're not the key.
Well, they might be nice, but maybe they're not the foundation. The source even uses this funny comparison. They talk about Christian Grey from 50 Shades of Grey versus Peter Parker before he was Spider-Man.
Oh, I like where this is going.
Right. So who do you think would be more successful with women? The confident, powerful Christian Grey or the kind of awkward Peter Parker?
Okay, that's a good one. Honestly, yeah, Christian Grey probably has the edge there.
It's interesting, right? It gets at this idea that women are instinctively drawn to strength, to competence, those qualities that, traditionally signal a man's ability to protect and provide.
So maybe all that over-the-top romance, it's not always the answer. Maybe it's sometimes a way of compensating for a lack of those deeper qualities.
That's what the source seems to be suggesting. It's definitely a provocative thought.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Like, how much of what we see in romantic movies and books, how much of it is real and how much is just a performance?
Yeah, it's a good question. Like, are we putting on a show or are we connecting on a deeper level? What do you think?
It's almost like we're being asked to look in the mirror and ask ourselves, what am I really bringing to the table? Not just the flowers and the poems, but the substance, the real value.
Exactly, the deeper stuff. What are we building within ourselves?
This is great, but I think we need to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll dive even deeper into this idea of love as a negotiation. What does that really mean for us? Stay tuned. Okay, so we're talking about this idea of love as a negotiation. And I gotta say, it's making me think. Like, is this all just a cold, hard transaction?
That's a really good question. And I think it's easy to jump to that conclusion, but I don't think that's what the source is saying at all.
So it's not about reducing love to some kind of business deal.
Right. It's not about, keeping score or anything like that.
But it does acknowledge that a real, lasting relationship, it needs more than just those initial butterflies.
Exactly. It needs depth. It needs substance.
Like those early sparks of attraction, they're great, but they need something to hold on to.
Right. They need a foundation. Think about it this way. Imagine getting a love letter. It's beautiful, heartfelt, the whole 9 yards. But it means so much more if it's coming from someone you already respect.
Someone you admire.
Yeah, someone you see as valuable Those romantic gestures, they're even more powerful when they're built on that foundation.
I like that. It's like the grand gesture is the cherry on top, but you got to have the sundae first.
Exactly. And, some people might hear this and think, wow, this is cynical, but I actually think it's refreshing.
It's honest.
Yeah, it's honest. We can't pretend that those biological and societal influences don't exist. They do.
And one thing that really stood out to me was this idea about women being drawn to strength and competence in men.
It's a classic idea.
And from an evolutionary perspective, it makes sense. But I'm curious, how do those qualities translate to today's world?
That's the million-dollar question. It's not just about physical strength anymore.
Right, like who can chop the most wood or something.
Exactly. Today, it's about being a well-rounded person. Ambitious, driven, resilient.
Someone who can handle life's curveballs.
Right. Someone with inner strength and a clear sense of purpose.
So it's less about being the stereotypical provider and more about being a reliable partner.
Yes. Someone who can contribute to the relationship in meaningful ways. And it's interesting, these qualities, they're not just attractive to partners.
They're important for our own fulfillment, too.
Absolutely. This isn't just about dating. It's about becoming the best version of ourselves.
For ourselves and for the people we love.
Exactly. It's a call to action, to step up.
And, we've talked a lot about competence and value, but what about the emotional side of things?
Right. Are we supposed to just become robots?
Yeah, is that what the source is saying?
No, not at all. It's not about suppressing emotions. It's about understanding them.
So expressing them in a healthy way.
Yeah, in a way that's congruent with our strength and competence. It's about being in control, not letting our emotions control us.
So finding that balance between strength and vulnerability.
Exactly. Being assertive, but also compassionate.
This whole conversation has really got me thinking about what it means to be a man today.
It's complex.
It is. It's not just one thing.
It's a journey.
A journey of self-discovery.
And it's worth it. Not just for love, but for life.
As we wrap this up, one thing really sticks with me. This whole idea that we have more control over our love lives than we think. It's so easy to think love just happens to you, right? Like it's fate or something.
What we've been talking about today suggests something different.
It does, right? It's like we're not just passive bystanders.
Exactly. And that's actually pretty empowering, don't you think?
It is. It's like, okay, maybe Prince Charming isn't just going to come knocking on my door.
Right. But that doesn't mean we just sit around and wait.
We can actually do something.
Yes, we can build the kind of life that attracts love.
I love that. So for someone out there, maybe they're single, looking for love, what's the one thing they should take away from all this?
I'd say focus on building your own value.
Like work on yourself.
Yeah, invest in yourself, your passions, your skills. Make yourself the kind of person you'd want to be with.
It's like that saying, become the person you want to attract.
Exactly. And as you do that, you'll naturally draw in people who appreciate those qualities.
So it's not about pretending to be someone you're not.
No, not at all. It's about genuine self-improvement.
Becoming the best version of yourself.
Yes. And that journey, it's not just about finding love.
It's about living a good life, a life that's meaningful.
Exactly. And, who knows? Maybe when you focus on that, love will find you anyway.
This has been such a great conversation. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too.
I hope everyone listening got a lot out of it too.
And don't let the conversation end here. What resonated with you? What questions do you have? Keep thinking about it.
Keep diving deeper.
And keep becoming the best version of yourself.
Until next time, everyone,